Wicca teaches that all things are sacred, that all things have a spirit, and that all that is of Mother Earth deserves a protection and preservation. The Witch's Rede states, "These 13 words reside forever under the God's will, and harm ye none, lest be it to preserve, do what thou will." The air that birds and insects fly in, whose freedom and right to live is something we value as important, and for that we fight to keep our air clean so they may live. The water that fish swim in, whose freedom, the right to live, is something we value as important, and for that we fight to keep our water clean so they may live. The fire that destroys the dead overgrowth of the forest to make way for new vegetation, to grow and create better habitats for animals whose freedom and right to live will be better sustained. And for this, the fight to tame fire is something we value as important, so it works for good instead of destruction. The same fire we use to cook with and warm our homes, to keep ourselves and those animal friends who share our dwellings with us alive and living free. The earth below us, ever constant yet changing, it too is sacred as it gives a home to all creatures. Creatures whose freedom and right to live is something we value as important, and for this we fight to keep the earth clean so they may live. All things are divine, from birds to insects, from fish to land creatures. The elements, they too are divine, as we hold them sacred, for all things have the spirit of the great Lady and Lord, Goddess and God. They inhabit all things just as we are a part of them. So be it known that none may call themselves Wiccan, and not recognize the sanctity and divinity of the unborn baby. Since we are all born, die, and reborn, we know that life is not something that just begins. Life is something that was always there. Life was there before conception. A baby in the womb is the very embodiment of the goddess, the living effigy of her promise of new life. The very cauldron on our altars is to remind us of the sanctity of not just her womb, but what it carries. We pray to this, and yet it is a mere symbol, a representation of the real thing. And to call it anything less is to spit in her eyes. It is our holy charge to be caretakers of not just what is sacred, but for that which could not take care of itself, that which is most vulnerable to negative actions of others through ill will or ignorance. To protect the life the goddess creates is the very embodiment of the god, and to find any reason to justify otherwise is to spit in his eyes. Abortion ends a life, and to trivialize life is as far from Wicca as one can get. It goes against everything the Rede and all the teachings of the divine give.